Are you tired of manually growing all of your crops and you just got the bungalow and not exactly sure how to automate it? This video is going to teach you guys how to automate this bungalow so you can produce massive amounts of weed for your drug empire. Supply list is going to be 8 suspension racks, 8 grow lights, any kind, as high quality as you can get, 8 air pots, 5 beds, 4 mixing stations, can be Mark 1 or Mark 2, a packaging station, Mark 1 or Mark 2. You can also use the brick maker if you're far enough, a small storage rack, 9 storage racks, 1 to 2 trash cans, 8 extra long life soil, 8 PGR, 8 fertilizer, and 8 Grandaddy purple seeds. Like I said earlier, the brick press is optional, but let's start getting this layout set up. The first thing we're going to want to place down here in the bungalow is our beds. So we're going to place 2 here in this kitchen area, and then we're going to place 3 over here in this bedroom area. 2 back to back on the one wall, and 1 over here by itself. Once the beds have been placed, we'll actually lay down our suspension racks. The reason why we use 8 here is a botanist is able to manage 8 stations. So 8 flower pots is what we're going to have them manage. Once we've placed down our grow pots, then we're going to come over here and collect the other supplies that we need. We're going to grab our shelves, the mixing station, the packaging station, our trash cans, and we're going to start placing our mixing stations down. We're going to place 1 on this wall, and then we can place 3 down on this opposite wall. They fit all nice and snug right there. We're going to come over here into the kitchen area. We're going to place a shelf on the wall with the packaging station in front of that, just for easy access. An output shelf from the packaging station, and we're going to need to put down our supply shelf for the grow. The only things left to place in the grow room is a trash can and a small grow shelf. I'm just going to put the trash can up for the time being. But I'm going to put a destination shelf for all of our pot that we're growing. We're going to put down 4 storage shelves, 1 for each of our mixing stations. This is where it's going to hold the supplies for us to actually include in our mix-ins. And with that, all of the furniture has been placed in the bungalow. Now we're going to grab our supplies over here that we actually use to grow our plants. We're just going to put them on this shelf over here. This is going to be our designated supply shelf. Once you've hired your first employee, which I recommend is a botanist, you'll get a clipboard. Using this clipboard, we can manage her. We can assign her bed, which we're going to assign into the grow room really quick off on her lonesome. Supply rack, so that supply shelf that we already checked. And we're going to select the pots, hold shift and left click each of these, so that way you can just automatically assign them to her, so that way she's managing them. After these have all been assigned, we need to left click each of them so we can manage them in bulk. Just do it all at the same time. The seed doesn't matter because that's selected from the supply shelf, and we're just selecting fertilizer and PGR, so that way we're getting more product. We're going to set the destination rack to this storage rack over here, and that's all we have to do for the botanist. After the botanist is set up, the next employee I recommend is the chemist. The chemist is in charge of mixing stations as well as different lab equipment. So we're just going to assign each of these mixing stations to our chemist. And as we did before, after we assigned these stations, we need to manage these stations. So we're going to come into here, and each of these we're going to set to a threshold of 10 and daisy chain them together. So the next mixing station is the one in sequence. Except for this last one. This last one will have the destination go from the mixing station all the way over to where we're going to package our goods, just so that way it's nice and flowing. The destination of our packaging station is just going to go from here to this supply shelf, so that way all of our good product is able to be collected all at once. And after we set up the management for those machines, we're done setting up the chemist. The next person that we're going to move on to is we're going to try and hire a handler just to automate all of the moving things. With our first handler hired, we're going to assign them a bed. It's actually just going to be one of these ones out here in the living room or the kitchen area. We're going to assign them a packaging station. I only need to do the one. So now we're going to set up routes. So we're going to set up from the bud station. We're going to deliver that over to the first mixing station. Then we're going to take the ingredient number 1 shelf, which is right here, which was what we've designated, and bring that over to mixer 1. Ingredient number 2, bring that to mixer 2. We're going to rinse and repeat that, so that way we've done that for every single one of our ingredient shelves and mixing stations. This handler has been set up. They only can handle 5 routes, so there's nothing else that they can do. They can handle 3 packaging stations and 5 routes. The next employee we're probably going to want to hire is a trash employee. Just that way you don't have to worry about buying trash cans or picking up garbage anymore. So we're going to assign them in here to the grow room just because this is where the most trash is going to be created, and assign them to this trash can. As you can see from the assigned trash cans, we can see the area in which they can be picked up. Now the reason why I suggested 1 to 2 trash cans is if you're not at the stage yet where you can have Mark II mixing stations, then we'll need to come over here, grab this trash can, and we'll need to put it over in the living room area so that way, with all of the mixing stations, so that it is properly able to pick up the trash produced from those Mark I mixing stations. And this just shows you the little radius of which that can be picked up. We have Mark II mixing stations in this setup, so we don't need this trash can, and we're going to put that back up in storage. The final employee to manage is this last handler. We don't necessarily need this last handler, but it just kind of makes our life a little bit easier. We're gonna set up a route from this back shelf here into the packaging station, so that way it is able to properly stay stocked. And then we're gonna move finished product from this large rack to this large rack so that we can have a backlog. Now all that's left is we need to pay our employees. Just put the money into their briefcase. Once your employees have been paid, we're gonna go to the gas station and get some supplies. For our specific recipe that we're mixing up, ingredient number 1 is gasoline, ingredient number 2 is Cuke, ingredient number 3 is motor oil, and ingredient number 4 is batteries. We're also going to pick up 180 jars, so that way we can fill up this large storage rack and the packaging station with goods, so that way we can actually deliver good product to our dealers. Nothing that we need to worry about. Also, with unlocking the bungalow, we are able to start ordering deliveries. It costs $200 for the delivery. The larger the order, the more time it takes to get there. But all that's left at this point is we need to package up and store all of our supplies. That way the mixings is good. Once you get all of the mixing supply shelves stocked and loaded, so that way it's ready to go in the morning, and your delivery is completed, we're going to skip to the morning to kind of see how this process goes. So as you can see on our way in, we see 2 of our employees are already actively working. We've got our botanist taking care and actually planting plants. What we're going to do here, just to kind of make things a little bit easier since she's going back and forth between the shelf and only grabbing one thing at a time, I'm going to wait for her to finish up this little watering section, and then we're going to speak to her real quick, trade her some items, and we're just going to put the seeds, the fertilizer, and the PGR, so that way we get more product into her inventory, so that way she doesn't have to waste time going back and forth. This is the setup though. Once we get this rocking and rolling, my advice in this situation is, set the botanist up a day before you try and get the chemist rolling or anything like that. Just that way you actually have product there. So that way you can start moving shelves over. So that way they're able to kick off the mixing stations and able to process the goods. In this specific setup that I have going here, we have a brick press. This brick press packages 20 flour at a time, so it's just a stack, and it does about 4 to 8 of those a day, depending on how fast your employees move. But it's going to produce so much product for you that you're not going to need to worry about running out ever again. You'll actually, in fact, probably need to take money out of their briefcases, so that way they're able to not work, just that way you're not losing money, because you're just going to have so much of a backlog of product. The only thing that you have to do to manage this at this point is stock the shelves. The recipe that we use produces flour at 106 base, but I upped the price of that to 150 per flour. and it does just well for me. The only thing that's left is we can see how much, how much is already in my inventory of my dealers. I have more than enough, more than I'll ever need, so probably could just let this sit for a couple of days. But yeah, chat, this is how to automate this. I hope this video has helped you guys get over the automation fear of Schedule 1, and as always, peace.